It's really quick. Cowardness. We need to understand what cowardness is in the New Testament for such a time like this. I believe this is really important. So Mark 16:14. After his resurrection, Jesus quite sternly rebukes his male disciples for hiding in fear and not listening to the testimony of the woman who saw him alive. The cowardness of believing your own fear-based thinking. Let me say that one more time. The cowardice of believing your own fear-based thinking, often at the oppression of others. Okay? So let's look at some scriptures. Let's see if there's any in here. Yeah. So cowards. In Revelation, we go straight to Revelation. Okay? For such a time like this. Revelation 21:8, it says, "But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the distasteful, as for murderers, the sexual immoral, the sorcerers, the adulterers, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death." Now Jesus tells us not to be afraid of what man can do in the body, but be afraid of the one who holds the keys of life and death. That is what we should fear. If we're going to fear anything, that is what we should fear. And actually Jesus says that in Luke chapter 12, if you want to look more into that. In Proverbs 28:1, it says the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. That is what God has to say about us. We have nothing to fear. We are bold as a lion. Okay, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Proverbs 28:25. The fear of man lays a snare. I'm telling you, when I had fear, it was a snare. It eats you up. Okay? But whoever trusts in the Lord is safe. Get that? Whoever trusts in the Lord is safe. Joshua 23:10. One man of you puts to flight 1,000, since it is the Lord your God who fights for you, just as he promised you. So let me read that one more time okay, so ready? One man of you puts to flight 1,000, okay? Since it is the Lord your God who fights for you, just as he promised. So there is nothing we need to do, nothing to defend ourselves. The Lord goes before us. We have nothing to fear. Okay, Isaiah 51:12. I am he who comforts you. Who are you that you are afraid of man who dies, of the Son of Man who is like grass? So we should fear the Lord, not man. Okay, Ephesians 5:11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And that is what I'm doing. I'm exposing the darkness. I once was a hypocrite. I once was, and I don't like to say that, but that's true. When I look back, I was a hypocrite and I was a coward. Ephesians 5:11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. That's what I'm doing. Luke 1:37. For nothing will be impossible with God. There is nothing impossible for God. With man, this is impossible, but for God, nothing's impossible. Deuteronomy 28. And the officers shall speak further to the people and say, is there any man who is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go back to his house, lest he make the heart of his fellows melt like his own. Jesus is calling out for an enlistment, and those who are afraid, you know the story of Gideon, those who are afraid, they got to go back. They got to go back to camp, okay? This is war. We're in spiritual warfare, and we need to be prepared. So there's plenty more verses on cowardness. Okay? As you can see, there's so many verses on cowardness. Here, Luke 17:33, whoever seeks to preserve his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life will keep it. There's so many verses of cowardice, you see. Here, Galatians. But when Cephas came to Antioch, I opposed him to his face, because he stood condemned. For before certain men came from James, and he was eating with the Gentiles. But when they came, he drew back and separated himself, fearing the circumcision party. And the rest of the Jews acted hypocritically along with him, so that even Barnabas was led astray. You see, even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. But when I saw that their conduct was not in step with the truth of the gospel, I said to Cephas before them all, I thought, if you thought a Jew like a Gentile and not like a Jew, how can you force the Jews to live like a Jew? Okay? Standing up for the truth. So much here to read. If you have time, just keep reading about this stuff. You can see what the times we're living in. Jesus said, beware of this. Just beware. Be on guard. I hope to see you next time. Peace.